Hey guys, welcome to Pretty Killer Podcast. I am your host, Jordana, and I am joined tonight by two of my favorite people ever, Sean and John from DeweyPodMonster.
Feel
Gentlemen,
like feel like we're just gonna let you down with our favorite people ever. So
you haven't so far, so I think it's pretty good. But how are you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. So as we're recording, it's the week before Christmas, so I'm pretty much mentally checked out, but still gonna be at work all week. So I got that going for me.
Cheers to that. Best way
Mm.
to describe it, because yes.
Yeah.
Sean,
Yeah, I'm doing
you,
good.
you need a smaller boat. You need like a little tugboat,
Yeah, something a dinghy.
a dinghy.
I
Yes,
need a dinghy.
a little dingy. I feel out of place now. I need to like edit my name tag and just do I don't know.
Jordana, I'm the fucking shark.
A fucking Bruce.
Okay.
So what's been going on with you guys? I know you guys just dropped the children episode on Dewey Pod Monster. I've never seen that, by the way.
Don't. Or do. I mean,
Yeah, it's up to
it's
you. Not really missing much, but
it's
your thing.
I mean, it's kind of one of those like comically bad movies in a way, but
Mhm.
I'm not gonna go as far to say that's so comically bad that it's good.
Damn.
Um, there's some things that are pretty funny in it, but as it is today, again, this is right before Christmas, so we have Silent Night, Deadly Night coming out tomorrow that we're dropping, and
Yes.
then we're having a after call with that. I guess we're gonna do a live screening of Silent Night, Deadly Night at Batch Brewing down in Detroit.
Yeah.
So it's basically just a whole week of Punish, Naughty, and Antler Boob Death. So
I am so fucking here for it. I love that movie, especially like the 2 weeks before Christmas, and I could watch the sequel like every night and I'd be happy.
yeah, we really kind of, in retrospect, probably should have done the sequel instead of just the second sequel. 3 through 5 is a whole different
Yeah.
thing,
Mess.
but that's a very accurate word, is mess. Yeah, especially 4 with that weird extra like alien birth thing that happens. It's a lot of goop.
It's just so weird to go from like what we got to like how do we go from point A to point D minus? Like I don't get it.
I love how that franchise, like, I don't think it's a stretch to say that the first movie is a pretty sleazy 80s slasher in a lot of
Mhm.
ways.
But yeah.
But I like how of all the things from that movie that they embraced for the sequels, it was sleaze that went out of, on top of everything.
Because sleaze in 80s horror is just like chef's kiss. I love it.
It's
The
not a
more
complaint.
yeah, I was wrapping presents and Greg has never seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. So I showed him Garbage Day and he's like, and I'm watching his reaction as he's watching it. And he's like, what the fuck? And then the car does like the roll and he's cracking up. He's like, will you send that to me? I'm like, just sit and watch the movie with me. So we start wrapping gifts. And as most people do, they, slowly drift away from the presents, and
Mhm.
they sit back and they're watching and not doing the wrapping. And he proceeds to fall asleep. But every single time he woke up, there was tits on the screen and like people having sex. And he's like, whoa, like super excited. So hopefully,
Doesn't sound like a bad way to wake up.
I know, but hopefully he'll watch it in full. But um, I'm really excited about tonight's episode. So as everyone who's watching knows, I love Jaws. And I know it feels kind of out of place that we're doing Jaws in December. It's like, typically July 4th movie, summer movie, but there's someone who has not seen Jaws, and I'm really excited to pop his Jaws cherry. So Sean.
Me?
Yeah.
It's me?
I mean,
I thought
I know
John hadn't seen it before.
I should have let people guess who it was
Get some lube. Here it comes.
because I am going hard. Like I am going hard. I'm so excited. But so just to like start off though, I kind of wanted to get your general let's start with John though. John, what are your general thoughts? Because I have to wait for Sean. General thoughts on Jaws. Like where do you stand with the movie?
I have a real soft spot for this movie because this is one of the only horror movies that my father liked, and it was one of the only ones that we could really like bond over that was a horror movie. Usually he was like, I just want to see some boobs and some explosions and stuff. I'm like, I don't understand why you don't like more horror movies then, but
Right.
this is the one that he really likes. So he, gave this to me at an early age, which I think he thought it was going to scare me out of, getting in lakes and water and stuff, and it didn't.
Yeah.
But as far as like just an overall arching thought without going into detail, I'd say this is one of the essential films in the history of film. It is, I'm not going to go as far to say it's perfect, but it is a testament to why Steven Spielberg can be a fucking genius and why practical effects are what you should do every time without question.
That's perfection. Like you just described that perfectly. And like you said, it's not a perfect movie, but I feel like it's like a cornerstone to film. Like it's just so it's just
it defies genre.
it does.
That kind of movie, which there's, especially in the horror genre, there's not a whole, I mean, there's a handful of them. It seems like a lot of them came out in the 70s, but there's not a whole lot of movies in the horror genre that are really, that defy genre. Like they should appeal to pretty much anyone.
Yes.
And even some of the ones that I think that I would argue could do that, like movies like Halloween, or The Shining, or stuff like that. I think those more so than this movie, you kind of have to have at least a toe in the horror swim tank before you actually fully embrace those movies, where I think this one kind of goes over that.
Absolutely.
It jumps the shark.
Yes. It's like a general, like, I don't know, like you think of
Sean's gonna kick my ass with all these shark puns.
Keep them coming.
To talk.
I love it. It's kind of like Godfather. You know what I mean? Like those types of movies where you like Godfather, Star Wars, you say those names and they're such heavy hitters. I feel like Jaws fits in that category for me. I know some people are like, I've seen letterbox reviews, like it's a 1-star because it's so fucking boring and it's this and that. And I get it because everyone's taste is different.
Yeah, not everyone's right though.
Exactly. Not everyone's right because it's amazing. But Sean, what do you like without, because we're gonna dive into it without spoiling too much, what would you think like your overall thoughts after watching it?
Well, how about I tell you what my overall thoughts were before I watched it? Like the reason I didn't watch it.
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, I don't really have a good reason why I didn't watch it. I think for me, I can only speaking for myself, of course. There are times when you hear about something. It doesn't have to be a movie. It could be a TV show. It could be a record or a band or somebody like that you hear so much about. Like you don't necessarily absorb everything, or that you haven't, you don't believe, or you don't pick up on everything that everybody says. And it gets to a point where someone says, you haven't seen this? You haven't heard this before? You haven't watched this before? And for me, I kind of like, okay, well, if you're just going to keep talking about it, I don't really feel like I need to see it.
Right.
Maybe it's good. Maybe it's bad. I didn't really have any opinion on the movie. I mean, I knew it was an important movie and a lot of people talk about the movie. They hold it in high regard. And I think for me, just over time, I want to say that there was like, when I was younger, we didn't have cable. We didn't like, if the movie didn't come on regular broadcast TV, like we didn't see it until we rented it or whatever. And it just wasn't a movie that my parents, my sister, they're not really horror or thriller kind of people. My sister a little bit more but my parents are not.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't let me see anything over a PG movie until, I don't know, I was probably 13. And I remember seeing on TV, they'd have commercials for trailers for movies, and it would say, oh, PG. My sister's 10 years older than I am. And my sister would, oh, PG, that, my sister and I can go see it. My parents would see the R movie. That's what we'd say. And I don't think my parents really went to the movie that much either. Yeah. But yeah, so it was just more of like, I think one time in a hotel room or something when we were staying somewhere, Jaws 2 may have been on TV. And I knew like obviously, the theme, you can't escape that.
No.
I knew people swimming and people getting pulled under the water and maybe the camera angle from under the water, but I didn't know like any of the, and even going into now, I didn't read anything about it. When you said that, hey, you want to watch this movie and talk about it with me, for your first time, I was like, okay. And I just didn't, I held off as long as possible. I watched it literally today. So
Wow.
before today, I didn't, and I'm talking like 12 hours ago, and I didn't have any like really preconceived idea of what it was about. I knew who was in it.
Yeah.
I actually, what ends up happening was different than I thought. So that was a surprise. And I think I talked about it with John, and we had BP on the show, on our show a couple weeks ago. And it's like a sporting event. You know the outcome.
Yes.
And you watch it and you keep expecting it to be different. Like, oh man, the team's really doing well. They're coming back. Like they might actually win this thing. You know, in the back of your head the whole time that they're not going to win. And that's kind of how this ended up, because there was something that happened at the end that I thought happened that didn't actually happen. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like that's a good surprise, not seeing it. But I didn't know like how, I had no concept of how the movie played at all, because I just knew the real high level stuff. It's about a shark.
Yeah.
And the shark kills people.
Yep.
And there's a beach. Spoilers for anybody out there. The shark kills people.
In case you didn't know.
Right. In case you hadn't seen it either. And I knew that Roy Scheider was in it. That's like the extent of what I knew about the movie. And my brother-in-law was like, you got to see this movie. You haven't seen it? You got to see this movie. I'm like, do I?
Yeah. Do I really
have to?
Well, I feel like there's movies like that are kind of like, my best analogy for this one is like the Taylor Swift of movies. Like, you know who she is, you know that it's like a super popular thing, but the more that people are like giving it energy and investing in it, you're just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, you feel like you kind of absorb it through all the other media that you've seen.
And you feel like I've lived my life and I don't really need to listen to a Taylor Swift album, or I don't need to watch Jaws because I've lived so many years without it. I don't need it in my life. You know?
I don't know what I'm missing.
I don't know. I mean, I can live without Taylor Swift, but Jaws is something that I can't shake off. I don't know. So.
Ever. I know. And let's not fucking Taylor Swift. Everywhere I go, like I had to go Christmas shopping because usually, like, you know, it's online deals. I like to do online because I hate going out in public and being around mass crowds of people. And everywhere I turned, there's a cutout of Taylor Swift. She's playing. I hear people talking about it. I'm like, I fucking hate Taylor Swift. I hate her.
You should edit in a groan meter for all the puns that John will lay in this episode. Oh my god!
Can I say something that
shark mouth opening?
I want to thank Taylor Swift for making the Chiefs suck.
Yes, I fucking hate the Chiefs. So, oh my god.
I didn't realize I hated the Chiefs so much until Travis Kelce was on TV a lot, and now I hate the fucking Chiefs. So I'm kind of glad that she's distracting their best player, and aside from their quarterback, and they don't have anyone to help them out. So
don't go talking about my auto like that.
My auto. Sorry.
I know. Like,
there's your groan meter again. So
I'm just gonna put it down on the bottom. It's just gonna be Bruce's mouth just getting.
I need a drop button just with booze.
I have applause. No booze.
Oh.
No booze.
Yeah. We could just do some rim shots or something.
There we go.
That's like, I wish they had that automatically in recording sessions so you could hit boo to someone, just be like, bad connection.
I have this thumbs up thing that you can do, or I don't think thumbs down works. Or maybe it doesn't work for you. It works on ours.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
How still do I have to be? Do I have to do a
I think it's the light.
One?
I think it's the light.
Okay, I'll do it at a different time because I definitely don't want to turn on the light. Because
guessing you want to edit around the thumbs up part of the audio podcast. So
just envision a little So I feel like the best way to do this though, because John, I kind of know obviously like your thoughts, but I thought that we could just do a couple questions. We can each go around and answer them. So excited. I feel like I have sweat on my upper lip because I can't wait to hear what Sean has to say. Okay. So Jaws.
I've never had anybody wait for my opinion so badly.
I feel like
kind of empowering.
I feel like I know you. Okay. Like we've hung out, we've recorded a couple times, and I just feel like I know you. So like something as important as Jaws to me, I'm waiting for like an Art the Clown reaction. I'm waiting for just like a total
And here I thought you were going to get through talking to Jordana without that clown coming up.
Never. I feel like it's a staple with us. I always have to drop it. This is where the boo meter would come in. And it would be like the top. But okay. I'm going to start with, let's just like kind of talk about our favorite scenes in the movie, because there are some iconic scenes. So I'm going to start with John. What comes to mind are some of your most memorable favorite scenes?
My favorite scene in this movie is hands down, without question, the best drinking scene in the history of cinema. Watching them all on the Orca,
Yes.
all kind of schnopped up to begin with and just getting worse. And I know it's something they stole from Chasing Amy, and Kevin Smith's probably still pissed about that. But the Scar story that wraps with them singing "Show Me the Way to Go Home" before their boat gets ran into again
Mhm.
is it's great because it's after a great moment of tension, and it's the only time that you see Quint kind of open up in the whole movie as
Yep.
far as being not a prick.
Mhm.
Um, which is kind of nice because I like him as a prick, but I almost like him more as a drunken, lovable weirdo,
Yeah.
like a weird sea guy. Um, but just the way the dialogue plays, the way it's shot, the way it's so out of sync from what else is happening at that point of the film and the story
Yep.
is just it's masterful to me. I it's one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema, and by far my favorite scene in this movie.
Same. It's so like it's so simple. Like
Mhm,
like describing it's just the three of them sitting around, and like you said, you see this side of Quint that you don't really know if it exists. You know what I mean? Because the whole time he has this such like a rough exterior, and he's an asshole, but he's an asshole that you kind of grow to love. You kind of wonder if you're ever going to see like a vulnerable side to him, and you get it. And I love, so weird how simple it is, but when the shark hits the boat and the light goes off, but it just focuses on the light when it's spinning, because you get
mhm.
that like sense of, oh fuck, like something bad's
Yeah,
gonna happen. I love that
and
scene.
I love how they're awkwardly folded up like limbs on the table to show off their scars and stuff. Like you would have to be like several drinks in to contort your body that way without being because we're all of not 20s at this point. Like my leg doesn't bend that fucking way without some kind of lubricant.
Even when
And
I
they're
was
just like
younger,
plunk. Yeah, they're just like plunk, check this out. So
what's his
it
name?
just
Richard Dreyfuss,
Cooper?
when
Yeah.
he pops that leg up and he fucking twists it, I'm like, that's fake. Like, there's no
I
way
know.
that he twists his goddamn leg that far, because every time I watch it, I'm like, it's not real.
Yeah. But it plays perfectly. And like I said, that's by far my like number one scene in this movie for sure.
I do. I love that scene. That's like top of the list for me. Sean, what about you?
I was just gonna make a comment on the age thing. I looked it up because I was like, how old is Roy Scheider in this movie? And he's younger than I am now. And he looks like in his 50s. He was 45, I
Wow.
think.
Yeah.
I was like, man, what? These people didn't take care of themselves or something, man. Out
Just
in the
that
sun all the
three
time.
pack a day diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
He was like
6-pack a
brown,
day too. Yeah.
Yeah.
like
He's like
shoe leather.
leathery looking.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think my favorite, it's kind of a sequence of scenes. I think after that drinking scene where when they're on the boat, trying to hunt down the shark, and they have the barrels on them and stuff.
Yeah.
And the way that not only the scenes play, like the give and take of them of those scenes, like with they're building tension, they're taking away, they're bringing on tension, they're taking it away. The way that the movie is also scored, it's a John Williams score.
Yes.
They have these moments where it's like this like kind of whimsical music that plays in the background, like a shanty almost.
Yeah.
And
It gives you a false sense of hope.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, oh man, we're right near the end. Everything's gonna work out. It's gonna be great, and
Fuck this shark. We're gonna kill him.
there's not gonna be any problems. And then it instantly, within the next like 10 seconds or minute or so,
Mm-hmm.
the music drops off, the music changes, and you're like, no, they're to borrow a page out of John's playbook, they're not out of the water yet. They're still, they're still gonna be facing this shark, and what's gonna happen next.
Right. And
That was yeah, just like John said, masterful.
yeah, John Williams, like again, another movie that is, I feel like, great visually, but I feel like without John Williams scoring it, it kind of like John Carpenter with Halloween. You kind of like, it goes hand in hand. I love.
Still got nothing on the theme of Friday the 13th Part 3, but pretty good.
You're damn right. That is amazing. You
That's a
can't help but do your
banger is
little.
what that is. Exactly. It's a banger. I still drive around listening to it.
I love it. I always play it when like Halloween comes. I always throw it on and I just get down. I love it so
Oh, yeah.
much. It's great. But that's a really good scene. That's like one of my favorite scenes because, like you said, that false sense of hope. Like it just feels like they're out in a boat cruising. You know, they're going to be home soon, and then literally shit hits the fan. For me, my favorite scene is the beach scene with Alex Kintner. And that whole series of events and the shot of Brody when it pans up on him and just like that panic. And every time I watch it, I get a sense of like a small adrenaline rush because it's so intense. And just imagine like witnessing that and seeing that. And I don't know, I wish they would have did the more intense scene that they had because
Oh, the one where they kill the kid?
but like his mouth is completely
Supposedly?
open and the kid is like
Yeah.
in it and you get to actually see the whole thing. Like, cause I feel
I
like
haven't seen the scene. I've seen the image of the scene, but I
Mhm.
haven't seen. I would like to see that wherever that ended up, but
I think I
it's
found it.
probably on YouTube. So
Yeah, I think I found it one time when Sam and I were talking about it, so I'll have to send it to you. But even like when he gets attacked and how brutal and fast it is, and you see him thrashing and then you see the blood, it's just so like again, and I'm talking about kids getting killed. It's not
Ron, do
like
you know what scene we're talking about?
Me?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. I mean, I don't know
Okay.
about no, I've seen the movie now. So
Well, I didn't.
again, spoilers. I have seen
Yeah.
it, but I haven't seen the cut that you guys are talking about. But yeah, the
It,
kid goes out on the raft.
yeah,
And
and
all
then
and they're like he's like, mom, his mom looks really old. I don't know
grandma.
why I'm so hung up on these people's ages.
Mm.
That's crazy though. Like that casting, that was just like a filler, like a quick, like,
Yeah.
okay, she can act and she can be in it because that woman looks like his grandma cresting on great grandma.
Well, the thing about all the characters too is because it's the mid 70s, it just seems really out of place that all these people like on the 4th of July when the mayor comes by and he's like, "Hey, get out in the water."
Yeah.
We're waiting for and the guy and his family go out. It's 3 kids. The kids are all under 10. The parents look like they're in their 60s. And like I said, different time, right? Everybody looked a lot older, but that seemed like a stretch. Like all these people, the parents just seem like they're so old.
It's
And you
true.
would think back in, 40, 50 years ago or whatever, 50, close to 50 now,
Mhm.
you would think that it would be like nowadays, it's normal to see parents that are older,
Yeah.
because people have their careers and they put off having kids till they're later in general.
Mhm.
And in that, it would be like the opposite. People are having kids younger. So all the parents seem like super ancient. And it just kind of sticks out as being a weird thing to me that I picked up on that being like a really just weird takeaway from it.
And it's funny you say that because like being younger, because watching it at such a young age, like John and I did, I never like picked up on that until, and you get older and you're just like, wow, that's his mom. That totally feels like
Yeah,
his
it
like
should be his
mom's,
grandma or something.
yeah,
When
like
I
super
watched
older
this as a
sister.
when I watched this as a kid, I thought anyone who looked over 25 was old as shit. So I guess it just didn't really. It just kind of blended to me. So
I
it's
feel
the
that.
power of watching this at like 8. So
Yeah. I know. And like you said it didn't scare you, but like for me, I had because I was born in Orlando and I grew up in Orlando
well, it
until
didn't
third
scare
grade.
me out of the water. It did scare me, but it didn't make me want to like. I think our family had the little lake cottage, which
Mhm.
is common in Michigan. People have their houses and then they have their cottage where they go and they throw their kids in a lake for a few hours. And
Oh.
yeah, it's now they just give them tablets, but this is how parents
Hmm.
raise kids,
Yeah.
in the 80s and the
Mhm.
90s. Um, when my dad would throw me in the lake, I would come out of the lake and they'd have to like drag me out like at sundown and stuff because I just wanted to go play in the water all the time. So I think in his head, he was like, maybe this will get the little fucker out of the lake so I can go home and go back to the bar. But it
Scare
didn't
him
work.
shitless so he doesn't wanna go in the water again. But that's how I
Right.
was too, like, I was a little fish, but I'd have those moments of an irrational 8-year-old where I would be in the deep end, or I'd be, like,
Mhm.
swimming to the deep end, and I'd look back and think that I saw, like, the outline of the shark like they'd have in the movie, and I'd and panic swim and jump out, like, out of breath, and my grandparents are like, "The hell's wrong with you?" But it's that irrational, like, fear of a fucking shark devouring you, ripping your limbs off. It's horrible. Oh, so from the favorite scenes to like who's your favorite character? Because there's quite a few like mains. There's some background characters. Who is your favorite, John?
Quint by a billion. I love Quint.
Yes.
He's probably top 10, top 15-ish. I don't know. I didn't never made a list of it, but he's in the upper echelon of characters, period. I love Quint. He's
Yeah.
just mysterious. Like, you don't get a whole ton of him. You don't get a big backstory of him aside from what he tells you on the boat. And
Hmm.
he's a drunk fisherman. For all I know, he's making that shit up. I don't know.
Right.
Like, he's got this weird respect for Brody, which usually I'm not a big fan of characters who respect the police officer, but whatever. He's played perfectly. It's the only movie I've ever seen Robert Shaw in that I've really enjoyed, and
Mhm.
he's just deranged and just on the edge enough that every time he's on screen, I'm a happy guy. So he is by far my favorite person in this. And I never liked Richard Dreyfuss. He's good in this movie, but I mostly think of him for the shit he did after this, like Mr. Holland's Anus and What About Bob, and I just get annoyed with him. So I have a hard time separating Hooper from Richard Dreyfuss, and
Yep.
that's a problem for me.
I
And
mean, I
Roy
can see
Scheider's
that.
fine.
I can see that though,
So
because Richard Dreyfuss is kind of like Hooper. I don't know, like he's relatable, and there's times that I like him, and there's other times I'm just like, he's such a little dink. And
yeah,
like
exactly.
maybe he should have got eaten in the cage, you know? And then you're kind of like, eh.
He looks like a Weezer cast-off, which I wouldn't have known that at the time when I saw this first, but I was like, this guy looks like he would be like the fill-in guy when Weezer's bassist has the flu or something.
Maybe Weezer are Hooper castoffs.
It's also a possibility.
True that.
So
One of my favorite scenes with Quint is when he's at the town hall meeting and he gives his speech, the nails on the chalkboard. And I feel like Quint is like a character that could never be played ever by anyone else other than Robert Shaw or his son, who they did The Shark's Broken, and he played his dad and he looks identical. And I think he sounds just like him. So that's okay. Like, that's fine.
I love the scene where they get the second and third barrel on
Mhm.
Bruce, and the rope doesn't work it works, but it creates a problem, so he goes and
Yeah.
hacks him off with a machete.
Yep.
I love how he just plants the machete in the side of the boat, mostly because it's a really cool it's just like a visually satisfying scene. It's
Yep.
like a little clip as it is, but then it comes back when he meets his fate because you get to see him kind of grab it at the last second and go stab happy. I'm like, that's a nice little touch that would be easy to just kind of give him this knife for no reason, but
Right.
it's nice that you get to see him plant it there within reach for what happens, I don't know, 10 minutes of movie time later, something like that. So,
Yep. I love that too. And I think it's another death that is in high regards, like on my list, because it's like Randy, Quint, those ones broke my heart, shattered my little horror heart.
spoilers, about Quint and his end.
Yes,
So,
and his little dinghy. Rosalind watched it with me before, then we went to go see it, and she's like, halfway through it, she grabs me, she's like, "Does Quint die?" And I'm like, "Yes." Like, we've watched this
Spoilers,
before.
jeez.
Oh, she's just and I think she had a sense of like what you were saying, Sean, where she was hoping that maybe the storyline would change somewhere, but definitely didn't happen. But who do you enjoy in the movie, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same answer. I think Quint is like the character that I like them. I mean, I like the main three, obviously.
Yep.
The mayor, I mean, when you watch the movie, you can totally, he's not a favorite. I'm just going to go off on this for a second, but it's like you get the whole capitalism, like, well, sorry, people's lives are in danger, but we got a town to run,
Yeah.
like,
We
if
gotta
we close
make
this
money.
beach, man, right? We're not going to have, we're going to be on, I think Quint actually says it, like, if you don't get this thing under control, you're going to be you're all going to be on welfare this winter.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
Quint, he's relatable to me because I'm a bit of a surly asshole at times too.
Mhm.
So I feel a bit of a kinship with him, although he's probably much harder worker than I have ever been. But it just like John said, the mysteriousness of him when he talks in the town hall meeting, everybody's listening, and he's like, "Hey, you can do it for 3,000, but if you want to get it done, I'll do it for 10."
Yep.
I need a case of apple brandy. I need a color TV. You know, he needs all this stuff.
Yeah.
If you want this taken care of, we can get this taken care of, or you can have these other jobbers come out here and have the dock torn apart and the Christmas roast or whatever is going to be.
I love that scene too.
Yeah, going to be eaten up. At first, when I'm watching it, because there's that little like ship hand that's Quint's helper guy that you only see in a few scenes, and he's just kind of in the background. He's walking with them.
Yeah.
And when I first saw the scene where the dock gets torn apart, where those other two jabronis are like trying to catch the shark, I'm like, is that Quint and the other guy? Like, I didn't put it 2 and 2 together until he fell in. I'm like, oh no, that's just some random guy.
Yeah.
We're gonna be able to buy a bunch of roast for the month for $3,000.
I know, and it's like, what are you like idiots doing? Why would you go and do it at dark? Like, if anything, like, think of what would backfire. I mean, obviously what happened, but that's the stupidest fucking plan ever, is to go try to rope in a shark when it's fucking dark.
Yeah, they had some chains.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Just throw a ham on a fishing hook and cast.
Yeah.
And another like perfect description of the movie though is like that scene is short, but it's also like panic inducing, because you're just like, you know, waiting. And I love how you can kind of see the shark cresting through the water. Like, those are some of my favorite scenes, is seeing such a big beast like that.
Do you hit a point now with it though where you just look and go, you dumb bastards?
Yes.
Because that's kind of how I watch it now. And I realize that this is one of those movies that I couldn't even tell you how many times I've watched it, because I've been watching it the majority of my life.
Mhm.
But I mean, for better or worse, like everything up until they're on the orca, I'm just like, you dumb fucks. So,
But like back in the day, definitely can see that happening, because not in a mean way, but like not a ton of common sense. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
when Hooper comes to town and everyone is literally in the water just throwing out blood, and they have dogs on the front of the boat, and like just idiots. And didn't Hooper say, what's his line when they're all in the boat and he's like, oh, you're gonna die out there, or he says something.
Yeah,
when
something
they're
like
all
that.
on the
Yeah,
boat.
they're all overloading one of those boats.
Yes.
Mhm.
Just
It's like those guys are all going to die out.
I think I like that about Hooper too, is just his little, I mean,
Snarky.
yes, but like he does have common sense. I like Hooper. I love Quint. Quint is my favorite. And Brody, like, he drives me nuts because I don't want to say he's a pussy. And obviously, like, a big part of the movie is his distaste for the water. You know what I mean? Like, Jaws isn't just about a 3-ton, 25-foot great white shark. It's about Brody's, you know, fear of the water, conquering it, going out. I love that. But in same regards, I'm like, you're a total pussy and just go out and fucking do it. You're the sheriff.
I think he's
you,
also like the stand-in for like the audience. You know, like how would you react to this thing?
Yeah.
You're not going to be the hero necessarily. I mean, he's the sheriff or whatever, so he should be heroic in some way, and he is.
Yeah.
But all the trepidation, all the like caution, like he's trying to do the right thing when like we talked earlier, when the boy gets eaten out that sound bad. When the boy gets eaten in the water by the shark, he didn't get eaten out. Just clarify that. The mom comes and confronts Brody about it, and he's like, you know, she slaps him and says, this is your fault. If you would have closed the beach earlier, you know, this would never happened, and you're more concerned about whatever.
Yeah.
And Hooper says to him, like, you didn't deserve that. And he's like, no, I did, because it's like just some not a random, but it wasn't in his control, but he is the face of the people of the authority.
Yeah.
So when he fails, you know, he feels guilty about it, obviously, but he takes responsibility for it because it is ultimately his responsibility. So I feel like, you know, a normal person in that situation, unless you're a sociopath or something, would probably feel the same kind of way. Like, well, I've got this pressure on me not to close down the beach, but I've also got all these people in the town that I'm responsible for their lives. So
yeah,
this kid, he feels, you know, sympathy, obviously, because he has kids that age, and the same thing almost happened to his kids. So
yeah. And then you see the turnaround with the mayor after the incident in the pond, where he was like, my kid was out there. And it's like, you fucking idiot. Like, that's what he was trying to prevent. I think that's one of the hardest pills to swallow in the movie is, like you said, Brody tried so hard because he knew like what it was, and he knew the severity of it, and he didn't want anything to do with it. He just wanted to shut the beaches down and get it taken care of. And then it gets drawn out. And then Like that scene is super powerful because you can just feel how ashamed he is, but he's going to stand there and take it like a man because, you know, of his
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yep.
Sean, I'm assuming since this is your first time watching the movie, this is a no for you. But Jordana, have you read the book before or at any point since seeing the movie?
I did when I was younger. I read like half of it. I didn't finish the whole book. I attempted to.
So there's a whole like mafia angle that explains a lot of the mayor's motivation and why Brody is kind of being controlled by that in a sense, which is obviously not in the movie at all. And there's part of me that wonders if it would be better because it would make the mayor seem like well, maybe not less of a prick, but a different, like a more understandable prick.
A more
Um,
relatable prick.
yeah, like it, obviously if it's a different conversation if you're like, well, yeah, there's a shark out there, but we need to make our $50 this week on, tickets or whatever, as
Yep.
opposed to, well, yeah, there's a shark out there, but these guys are going to break my legs if we don't open the beach. So,
Yes.
it gives a little bit more. There's other stuff in the book that's not in the movie, and most of it is for the better. But
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if they had left that. I mean, this is also a movie that's over 2 hours long, so maybe adding anything to it would almost be kind of ad nauseum at that point. But it
Right.
might kind of lead a little bit more to the motivations of the mayor and to a lesser extent Brody as to why he kind of is so, for lack of better wording, a pussy through half the movie. So
When there is like a little bit of the mob sense vibe when he's going over on the ferry and all
mhm.
like the corner,
When
the
they're talking about it being a boating accident.
yeah, and they're all kind of like, and he's like, but you said it was a shark attack, and he's like, well, it could have been, and they're all kind of like,
Yeah.
you
We've
know,
seen that. We've seen that before. Someone has gotten run over by a boat before.
yep,
Mhm.
yes,
It
and you're
happened in
kind of
Sleepaway Camp,
yes,
which comes out in 10 years,
the
roughly.
crossover that we need: Jaws and Sleepaway Camp. Angela on the beach
Oh,
looking
I
at
would
the
be
shark
so for it.
with her
The
fucking
shark
dick
is
out.
Angela.
Yes.
The shark sitting there with a knife and a big dong hanging out.
Oh,
Perfect.
shark dog.
Maybe
Yep.
the dong is just a shark.
Jaws 6, Sleepaway
Or it's
Jaws.
Angela and she has a shark dong.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, yes.
All of the above.
Yes, all of it.
You know what? Here's what we do. Angela's on the beach with a shark dong, and the shark is somehow standing on top of the water with a human dong, and they're just staring at each other with the knife.
And each
And
other's
then at the
dongs.
end, the one
Mhm.
dong just goes
Yep. Fade to green. So
end. But okay, and also touching back on what you said too about the 2 hour mark.
mm.
Because I could go on about like Shark Dong and Angela Dong for a while, and it's so immature. I'm not gonna do it.
Eh.
I love it. But the 2 hour comment, I feel like this movie is one of those movies where it's okay that it's 2 hours. Because I feel like
It doesn't feel it.
it doesn't feel it. And also, if you were to take away something that seems minute and like not important, they're kind of like all relevant and they kind of all flow together. And like, really, what would you cut? You know what I mean? Like you think about it and you're just kind of like, this is a tolerable, for me, 2 hour movie.
I agree.
You know?
The biggest reason why, at least I always say I don't like movies that are 2+ hours, and I think Sean and I have had this conversation more times and we're gonna have it again apparently. Is once you get past that hour and a half point, roughly, that's when you start looking at your watch like, Jesus, how much more of this do I have to go?
Yeah.
And that's really where the problem is with 2 hour plus movies is we all have lives, we all have shit we have to do. We all got to make dinner, take out the trash, whatever is going on that day.
Yep.
And once you get past 2 hours, there's a lot of times where you're like, all right, this is good or this is bad, but I got shit to do. Let's move it. This movie at no point, like, even now, having watched this a billion times, like I never look at my watch when this movie's on. This movie is just one that it keeps you engaged, and all those little scenes, you're like, well, you could trim this or you could trim that. It's similar to The Thing or similar to Halloween. Like
Yes.
you take something out and you're actually missing something because all those little scenes, like to use Halloween as an example, you think this scene where they're just sitting in the kitchen is like nothing and they're just sitting there bullshitting. But if you look close, all of a sudden there's a white mask floating around in the back that is Michael walking through creepishly or something.
Yes.
Obviously, Michael Myers isn't in this movie, for better or worse, but
Again,
there's
another
a lot
crossover.
of stuff.
That would be
Right.
amazing.
There's a lot of stuff in this movie, whether it's in the foreground, the background, or just a little line of dialogue, a little thing here, a little thing there that ties things together in this movie. And it's one of the things that lead to this being not just a great horror film, but a great film and a masterclass in storytelling.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. So now that we talked about characters, and I know like we've been really talking about things that we've liked, but like things that stand out in the movie that that make you feel a certain way. So like I don't know if like cinematography, for example, could be like one of them. But John, what would you pick for things that you really enjoy about the movie?
We already mentioned the score, but that would be one of the things that I think is just so well done. So I'm not gonna. We already went over that. I'm not gonna stand too much on that. I love that this is a very summertime feeling horror. Like we have, as all three of us are horror fans. Like there's movies in the genre that kind of feel like they go in certain parts of each season. Like we mentioned Sleepaway Camp. That feels like an late summer, early fall movie to me.
Absolutely.
Halloween obviously is a fall movie.
Mhm.
You get movies like The Thing that are best. We're all in cold weather areas.
Yep.
Who doesn't want to watch The Thing when it's January? It's like 20 degrees outside and there's 10 inches of snow and it's still coming down. Like it sets
Yes.
a mood with it.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of horror movies that feel so well placed for like June, July.
Mhm.
Like it almost feels out of place for it because it's bright and people are like not depressed for some fucking reason and shit like that.
Yeah.
So this is like such a like great movie just because it places in that time of year really well. That's one of the things I really like about it.
Yep. 100%. Sean, what about you? What did you enjoy? Things that stood out to you that you really enjoyed about it?
I think the thing that I was really surprised by in the movie, other than the movie itself, because I hadn't seen it, was like how much humor there actually is in the movie. Like
Yeah.
they just, especially in the first half of the movie, and kind of even leading into the boat, the drinking scene, and all that stuff.
Yep.
But there's just so much little things that are said or actions that happen in the movie. I think at the beginning when he goes to when Brody goes to the hardware store and he's buying like the paintbrush and he knocks the thing over and he's trying to get signs painted up.
Yeah.
There's a comment, like I don't remember all the exact comments, but there are little comments that are made that are just kind of, I kind of chuckled to myself, or the dock scene when the two idiots are out there trying to catch the fish, or the shark, and they're like, I don't know, that, or the scene where they get the tiger shark and they hoist it up and they all get their picture around it, and the guys are just like high school.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Come on, guys, 2 rows. Everybody stand in the back and everybody kneel in the front, just like high school.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I was really surprised by is that this is a PG movie.
Yes.
And there are things that, like in the beginning, the girl takes her clothes off. I mean, I think she has bottoms on.
Yeah.
But it's not like you can't see what's going on.
I got in trouble for that.
Like, yeah, because I mean, 75, they had
For skinny dipping?
They had 4 ratings. They had G, they had PG, they had R, and they had X. And I don't even know if X is a real rating.
I know. I feel like I never see
the marketing thing.
Anything that says X. It's just like not rated. But I had Jaws as a background at my work that and a girl told on me because in the picture, like obviously in the poster, the girl's swimming and like you can see the shape of her tits. Like I don't think you see nipple, but I think you see the shape of tits. And my boss pulled me aside and she's like, I love Jaws, but you can't have that as your background because, and I'll call her out. Wanda was pissed. And I'm like, well, fuck her.
Fuck Wanda.
Fuck Wanda.
But in the scene, she's in the water. You can like, I don't know if it was just my TV or something, but I could see a nipple.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a little excited about that. The other thing, is like it gets when they do the textbook when he's looking through when Brody's looking through the textbook to try and find out more about sharks at the beginning when he doesn't know anything. There's like pictures of people with like injuries where their chunks of their their flesh is just hanging off their bones.
Yes. So gross.
Like, whoa. I was not expecting to see that. But and just going back to the humor thing, when they first when Brody and Hooper first meet. There's just, I mean, Hooper's just a great comic relief character for a lot of the movie.
Because he's so dry. Like the
Yeah.
delivery is so dry, but it's
I can
perfect.
appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. And I love oh my God, like just like the little lines, like when he's on the beach with the old dude with the swimming hat, and he's like, I heard you don't like the water. And he's like, that's some bad hat, Harry. And he just walks away, and the wife's like, you're tense. Like, quit being an asshole.
Yeah, that's a good sign. That's a good one to the old, super old dude.
Yes.
I'm
Reminded me
gonna
of my grandpa.
I'm gonna steal a moment that's great in that, but right around that scene where he says the bad hat Harry scene, I love the shot where something happens in the water and the way they zoom in on Brody's face.
Yes.
It's such an intense, like extreme close zoom, and I know it's just one quick tearaway scene, but it's a perfect little use of building tension without showing you anything at all.
It's iconic.
Again, it is, and it's awesome. And this is what Spielberg's second movie. It's like it's no fucking wonder this guy went on to be one of the best filmmakers out there. So
Absolutely. Like just like his drive and determination to get the film done. And that brings me to like one of my favorite things about the movie is the practical effect. Because the shark is like, you know, for the 70s, I think that's pretty fucking rad how like real the shark looks. I mean, I know there's some scenes where the jaw's just kind of like chomping, but it doesn't look like overtly fake. Like it just there. I don't know. I think that's
I've
what's
seen a lot of shark movies,
Mhm.
and I can tell you, although this doesn't look real, it certainly doesn't look as fake as the majority of shark movies. So
True. And
Well, I
like
think
the fin.
I
Like
think
when
they
you
did
see
a
the fin.
really good job of mixing like wildlife shots in with shots of the mechanical shark.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job blending that together, because where they didn't have things that looked realistic on the shark, they could replace it with footage to make it look like. I was thinking about that when I was watching it. I'm like, it's hard to tell in some of these spots where it's a shark that's actually in the same water,
Mhm.
or if it's the mechanical shark, or if it's some other just shark somewhere else.
Like raw
You know?
footage. Like
Yeah.
National Geographic type
Yeah,
deal.
because that's a big thanks at the end is like National Geographic for supplying this film or this film stock or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of things that they just blend it really well together. You can't, unless you're super scrutinizing it. And that's why when you see those scenes where it is like the hinged jaw and all that stuff,
Yep.
it's kind of off-putting.
Mhm.
But I think that you can suspend your disbelief because the rest of the movie just works out so well. At least that's the way I felt.
Yeah, and like even in the moment, like if it's an intense scene, you just think about it for a second, and then you're on to like the next crazy thing that happens. So it's not like it's like you're left focusing on it. It's leads into something else that draws your attention to something bigger.
I love too how so much of this movie is shot in open water and not
Mhm.
on some like gigantic Hollywood pool. I mean, obviously, if this movie were made like in the last 20 years, it'd be a ton of CGI, it'd be a ton of green or blues or whatever they're using now, whatever color screen. And
Yep.
I can't imagine they would let a film crew take a fucking boat out and go chase a fake shark around,
I know.
Like they would probably be like, that's gonna cost like at least $40. We're gonna just do it on this computer for 15. So
Yeah, exactly. And
um
you guys are gonna love it because it's newer.
but it does such a great job. Like, although there's a lot of this movie that feels kind of bright and vibrant, and that there's impending doom coming. Like, once it gets like to the point where shit's really hitting the fan,
Mhm.
the feeling of isolation in this movie for these three characters,
Oh yeah.
especially after Quint loses his shit in amazing fashion and smashes their only means of communication,
Yeah.
because
I
they
love
don't
that
have
part.
cell phones, but just watching them like seeing the little shots where like you'll just see like a still shot of the orca just kind of floating away, and then the fucking barrel will pop up or something, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, they're like mega fucked now. So
Well, you think of it too, you're like, okay, the ocean is so broad and so
right,
wide. Like, okay, maybe the shark has gone because like a shark isn't really gonna stalk someone. And then like like the isolation part, and you feel like, okay, maybe we'd be safe. And then it's a pop of like, no, motherfucker, like
yeah,
still here, and I'm gonna eat you. And I think that's what like developed my love for creature features is this movie because you only see the shark fully like I don't know like
so
the runtime, the
8 minutes
total.
or something like that, 8
Yeah,
to
like
11 minutes, something like that. It's not very much.
no, and the ending is so cool too because when you do see him, it does look good for the time, but just like the pond scene, I think that's another one of my favorite scenes in horror, period, is when the guy's talking to the kids because they're out in the sailboat and he's like, "You guys okay?" And you see the shark coming, or like it hits him and then he's in the water and you see the shark crest up and then eat him. Oh my God. Like I could watch that and replay constantly and just love it every single time. And two, with it kind of leads into Halloween with Michael Myers, because you see like glimpses of the mask or him standing there, then you see him at the end. So I feel like
He's only got like 12 minutes of screen time in the first movie too. So it's very much so. And again, I know we've probably all talked about this. It's the whole less is more philosophy. Like you get
yeah,
so much more not knowing what's scaring you than you do. But like once you see it, it's like, okay, well, there it is. You know what's coming. And you can rule out a lot of things at that point. Like if you see how big the shark is and you're in the kiddie pool, you know that you're going to be fine because that fucking shark won't fit in the kiddie pool. So,
exactly.
stuff like that. So it does a lot more. I mean, it's kind of like a catch-22. Like I think we all like the Godzilla movie where you see Godzilla and he's huge and he destroys all of whatever city he's decided to be angry at that day. But at the same time, I think from a like psychological or horror standpoint, it's way scarier to not know what's going to kill you than to be absolutely aware of what's going to kill you.
Exactly. Or like see little glimpses of what's going to kill you. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's just, I don't know. It's perfect. And I think that's why I love Halloween and Jaws so much, is because it builds such a great story. You have great characters, the cinematography, the music, it's like a perfect recipe for a movie. But now we talked about a lot of positives. What do you guys feel for like negatives, things that kind of stood out to you that maybe you didn't like so much in the movie? John, I know it's hard to think of something.
I mean, I don't really like Richard Dreyfuss, but I wouldn't change him in this movie either. Like you'll never hear me say like I like Richard Dreyfuss other than like that statement right there.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine anyone else playing that character and doing it justice. And I'm sure someday we're all gonna, well, Sean might not care, but Jordan and I are gonna be pissed because A24 is gonna remake it and Rob Zombie's gonna direct it. And I'm not gonna be thrilled about that. But and Sherry Moon Zombie's gonna play the shark because that's how it will happen.
I might watch it if she's the shark. If she's not the shark, then fuck that. In the end.
I hate saying it, but I'm gonna watch it no matter what they do because I'm an idiot. But that's beside the point. There's this movie. I mean, there's things I could say like these aren't my favorite things. Like I said, Richard Dreyfuss. I'm not. If you could find a way to keep everything intact but still somehow get this down maybe 15 minutes, that might be something I would like just because of my overall opinion of runtimes. But I feel like anything I could say negative about this movie is just like extremely nitpicky to the point where I almost need to tell myself immediately, shut the fuck up, John. You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I just want to know because I feel like, we can talk about a movie and just, sing it from the rooftops how amazing it is. But I always wonder if there's like things that stand out to people or not like they're.
I could do without hearing the nails on the chalkboard and headphones again. That's not pleasant. So
yeah, I hate that part.
Yeah, but no, I don't have any real negative that I would throw at this. Not anything that's tangible.
Okay, I'm cool with that. Sean, what about you? Anything that?
Not anything that I could point out without being super nitpicky. And even if I was, I don't know if I could really think of it now. The only real complaint that I have is that this kind of goes back to the whole not watching it ever and hearing so much about it. Is it's not really, to me, it was suspenseful, it was thrilling, but I didn't find it much to be a horror movie at all because there wasn't really anything that was particularly scary.
Yeah.
But that's really the only thing. And I think it depends on too when you see it. Like if I were to see it when I was younger, like more formative years, more like I'm going to go to the lake house or I'm going to go to the ocean, like one of those open water kind of things. Yeah. Everything that would be scary to me was already absorbed or pressed into me because this is a thing, because Jaws is a thing.
Yes.
Nothing that actually happened in the movie was surprising, really. I mean, again, like I don't know if I should just get to it, like what I thought happened and what actually happened.
Please.
I thought that Richard Dreyfuss died.
Oh, yes.
I was
in
led
his
to
cage scene. Yes.
He dies in the book.
I was led to believe that he was like a character that the audience like really started to like, and he gets killed.
Yes.
And
And
I
you don't
thought
really see it play out. I mean, you do see it play out, but you don't see him actually get eaten by the shark. Yes, chomped. I like that.
Well, he doesn't die. I mean, he swims to the shore.
Yeah.
So I was just under the impression, like, over all the time, and I don't know where I even picked the idea up, because again, I don't even know many people, like the circles that I ran with, we didn't watch Jaws. Like, I know a bunch of people haven't watched Jaws, so that's not really like it. That's not something that's super crazy to me, but other people seem to think it's a big deal.
I mean, I just think,
but I thought he died, so it was like, oh, he doesn't die. That's crazy. I thought for sure that when the ropes get wrapped around his leg, and it's just like a short thing. It's like a 30-second thing, and he just pulls his legs. They like pull the rope, and he pulls his legs out. I thought he got cut in half. I thought that's what was going to happen.
I thought you were talking about
that would have been rad. I would have enjoyed that.
Now that's
non-shark death number 1 in the movie.
I feel like that's something that, and I'm not saying it like in a bad way, because I don't really care for Rob Zombie, but I feel like that's something that he would do in his adaptation of Jaws, But I thought you were talking about the scene when he goes down in the cage.
Yeah. I didn't know. I thought that he was dead long before that. I didn't know anything about any of that. So I was like, oh, he's got his wetsuit on. That's cool. He's going to get in this cage. But then, and then because that leads the anticipation, because I thought he was going to die. That like, okay, this next thing that he's doing that's real important, he's not going to do. He's going to get his arms chopped off because they're out of the cage with the spear. Yeah. Well, then he just gets spooked, and as anybody would, he drops the thing, and then he gets out of the cage and he escapes. And I'm like, he's going to get eaten. He's totally going to get found. He's going to be scrounging for the spear at the bottom. Yeah, he's not going to be able to find it, or he's going to find it at the last second and he gets chomped. But then he just hides, and what happens, and he swims away. Like, oh, okay. Which, like, well, that didn't happen. That's not the way that I thought that was going to happen.
Well, realistically, too, like if I were in that situation, I would not be like trying to be going anywhere but like hiding if a fucking shark was attacking me. I would just go to like a coral reef and plant my ass there for a minute.
I'd be going away. That's where I'd be going.
Yeah, there'd be like brown coming out of my wetsuit like a little cloud, because I'd be shit myself swimming away.
Are sharks attracted to shit? Oh, wait. I'm good.
That would be bad.
I would realize that I'm not a strong enough swimmer and be like, you know what? I'm just going to dive right into the shark's mouth and get this over with.
just take me now.
Just get it over with. Why draw it out?
Yeah. I think it's one of the worst ways that you could die. Honestly, like I know that there's way worse ways to die, but just being at the beach, because I love the beach. I love swimming. I love all of that. And you're just having a good goddamn time, and then some shark comes up and bites your ass.
Eats you.
Yeah. Takes like the
not a fan of dying.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of beaches. So
yeah, same.
Oh, I love a beach. But now that I'm getting older, I don't like sitting there for long periods of time, because when I was little, I roast like a hot dog.
Is there a bar at the beach?
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'll be at the bar.
Yeah, most beaches they have tiki bars or something.
Yeah, yes. I'll be at the tiki bar. So there's no sharks at the tiki bar.
Look at this complexion. I gotta stay out of the sun, man. I gotta stay looking young.
I gotta stay at the bar with Sean talking about Black Devil Doll from Hell, and not
Halloween storylines.
You can't be looking like Brody, like a piece of fucking shoe leather, like a belt you just wrap around your waist and call it a day.
Yeah.
I think my biggest complaint about this movie would be Pippet dying, because I hate when animals die, and they should have showed Alex. I think a lot of people, it's a huge debate, said that if they did it, the intense death scene of Alex Kintner, it would have been too much. I think they should have went for it. I think doing what they wanted to do and the vision that they had, I think that really would have set the tone to kind of push it over the threshold of, like Sean saying, it's not really that scary. There wasn't like a lot of those moments. I think if they would have had that in the middle.
think as an avid gorehound, I would like to see it, but I
Mhm.
think bigger picture, and
Yeah.
especially like one of my other favorite movies is Jurassic Park, which
Mhm.
takes I don't want to call it inspiration so much because, obviously it's the same director, but obviously what he did in this movie built a lot of what we got in Jurassic Park. At least I think it did.
Yeah, I agree.
I would, again, as a gorehound, as a guy who likes to see people get, in film, not real people, get dismembered and whatever with it. Like I would have loved to see it for that.
Yeah.
But I think in the smarter part of me, which isn't much, realizes that he probably made the right decision holding back because ultimately it makes the reveal of the shark at the end that much stronger.
Absolutely. And I just feel like there's a part of me that wishes that Quint never died because I think that they could have done without Hooper. I think that Hooper could have gotten it.
Yeah, fuck
And
Hooper. Give me
yeah,
more Quints.
exactly. And even Brody, like maybe he shot the shark and maybe it was like on its last limb and then he came up and just like, ow, but Quint
I
survived.
do think it's stupid when Brody crawls on the side of the boat and starts firing him with his pistol. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like, what?
I hate that part too because it's like,
Yeah.
what is it going to do? It's just going to
One,
tilt
he
over.
misses them, and two, yeah. What do you? What the chance? Okay, I don't think they had MythBusters at the time when Jaws came out, but they did a whole episode about shooting people in water, and apparently that shit just doesn't work. The water slows the bullets down enough that even if they hit you, it's not a lethal shot at that point. But
No.
yeah, well,
If I
we all
ever
have
get shot at, I'm just going to run towards water and just dive in.
that was actually their advice.
There you
Was
go.
get in the
Yeah,
water.
I would.
But I don't think I can outrun the bullet. I think I would run and my fat ass would be like on the ground, like, oh, just shoot me. So
I give up.
yeah.
I love that.
Anyway,
Well, that's good because I thought there'd be more like, I don't know. I feel like I'm being biased because I love it so much. So I wanted to get the opinions of other people because I know people that don't enjoy it and I know people that equally love it. But as an overall rating, and we're going to do 1 to 10 stars, John, what would you give Jaws?
I'd probably give it a solid 9. Again, it's hard to say anything bad about this movie or anything that's not nitpicky about it. It's so formative. Like so many movies, I don't want to say they wouldn't exist, but this movie has been influenced so much. Like it's
Yeah.
influenced the entire creature features genre,
Mhm.
the entire horror genre. How many times have you heard the movie Alien referred to as Jaws in space?
Yep.
It's one of the most influential films in the history of film, and rightfully so. The characters are great. It's an extremely well written movie. It's well
Mhm.
directed. It's well shot. It looks beautiful. The scoring is damn near perfect. It's hard to really talk shit about this movie with anything other than being either Mr. Edgewater's like, I think Deep Blue Sea is better. Well, you're wrong.
Thank you, because there are people.
Yeah, sorry, Mark.
I was going to say Mark because he comes to mind
Yeah,
immediately, and I love Mark because he's great.
he is great, but he's wrong on that one.
Yes.
Other than that, and Sean, I'm not saying this directly at you, but just the whole idea of like, I'm not watching this for whatever reason, like, that's fine, but that doesn't really inform an opinion either. So if you don't want to watch it, that's fine, but you can't really say like, fuck Jaws if you haven't watched it. If you watched it and decide you didn't like it for any reason, if you're, well, the shark is not an actual shark, okay, fine, whatever.
It's
But
boring.
yeah, fine.
There's not enough
But
hits.
at least you watched it at that point to have whatever wrong opinion you're having. So
Just for the record, I never said fuck Jaws.
I know you
Before
did.
I
I'm
saw
not.
it.
I
You know
didn't-
what?
I'm
Stop
not
putting
claiming
words
that
in
you
my
did.
mouth. I did not say that.
He sent
You
me the
said
clip.
fuck you, not fuck Jaws. So,
That's more like it. Don't misquote
Right.
me.
Mhm.
sorry.
John, what would you give Jaws 1 to 10?
I mean, goes against every fiber of my being to give it something out of 10, but I would give it I'd give it an 8. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what took me so long to see it. Like I said, it's kind of the common parlance or whatever that people are like, this is a great movie. And I'm like, okay, it's a great movie. That's cool.
Yeah, I'll take
Is
your
it
word
a
for
great
it.
movie? Yeah, it's a great movie. Okay, I guess I'll see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, like I said earlier, you hear so much about something that it's just like a foregone conclusion, and you feel like you've absorbed so much of it just through osmosis. Like I didn't even know what happened. I was like, yeah, it's probably a good movie. I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen The Rock. I haven't seen Armageddon. I haven't seen Casablanca. I haven't seen Citizen Kane. Like, there's a shit ton of movies that people are like, you got to see this movie.
I'm willing to
Haven't seen
correct the issue of you not seeing The Rock. The other ones I don't care about. So
Okay, yeah.
Wait,
I mean, I haven't
which one
seen
is
that
The
stuff.
Rock?
it's
It's
the one
Sean
where Nick
Connery and
Cage and
Nicolas
Sean
Cage.
Connery do like
What,
ninja
Alcatraz?
shit against like mercenaries on Alcatraz.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that
Nick
either.
Cage is
See?
very much so on like uppers in that entire movie.
Now that would be fun to watch it for that.
I mean, that's not part of the story. I'm just saying he is on
Yeah.
uppers. You know,
Right. The way he plays a character. Is
Well, that's kind
unhinged.
of like why
I don't think it's the way he's playing the character. I think it's what he is on. So
Maybe he's just
whatever
really high on
substance.
life.
yeah,
That's why I want to do now, since we got Sean to watch one. I know I'm like literally walking on eggshells with you, Sean. So please.
Well, I
I
mean, this
would-
movie was so awful that I don't know if I could watch another one. You know,
I know.
8 out of 10. What a piece of shit.
Again, like I'm going to be.
you're in for a
unfriended.
big treat if you think 2 through 4 are as good as 1. So
Well, they're
and 5.
spoiler alert, they're not, but there's some like so the upper thing, Dennis Quaid being in 3, he literally said like cocaine was written into the budget for that movie to be filmed. And I obviously you can see why in that movie, and it's
I
fantastic.
love 3,
I do
but for a
too.
whole different. Did I, Sean? I think I've told you this before, but 3 is basically it was. I want to say this because Friday the 13th was the first big 3D movie of that era of 3D,
Mhm.
and Jaws was like the same year, maybe like the second or third one after that. And the first time I saw it, the shark looks like a trash can with like a shark fin on top of it, just being pushed at the TV every 5 seconds.
Is that the one with my cocaine?
I believe so.
Okay.
I love 3. 3 is just such a guilty pleasure. It's at SeaWorld.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's like amazing chase scenes in SeaWorld, and then everyone's on cocaine. It's fucking brilliant. It's perfect.
And we got to do 5 because Cruel Jaws is just fucking a whole different. You'll like Cruel Jaws, I can guarantee that.
You will.
So,
There's a Hulk Hogan lookalike.
it's Hulk Hogan, no steroids though.
Yes. So it's just like Hulk.
Yeah.
But we need to. I want to do like a follow up and not have you watch it all at once because I don't want to again have you unfriend me permanently from life. But watch them and then I want to like rank them with you guys.
Only if you'll do Death Wish.
I promise I will.
There's 5 of those.
Okay. We'll shake on it.
Okay. We'll
So
do
we'll
a
do
virtual. We'll do
a
a virtual thumbs up here on the old stream.
I need to turn my light on so I
Yours won't
can
work
do
though.
it.
Sorry.
Wait,
But-
does this mean I have to watch all the Death Wish movies again?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Shit. Okay.
Yes.
But just like going back to it, there are movies that are made, and John kind of touched on this. There are movies that are made that are ones that you can point to say this has had like a big influence. This is one that holds up over time, and even with it's from the mid 70s. There's the technology's different, people are different,
yeah.
the way people look is different.
hmm
All that kind of stuff still going into it. The movie holds up. It could be made in any time frame. And it doesn't matter. You could write in, you could make I don't want to see this happen because I'm like kind of against remakes, but
Yeah.
you could make this again. You could have the exact same thing happen. And this time around, the cell phone coverage in the middle of the ocean isn't great. And instead of smashing the CB or whatever, which they probably would still have,
Yeah.
the cell phones just don't work. You could still do that. It's because the story is so strong.
Yes.
The story in the movie is just so strong it doesn't matter what kind of other things you do. And again, Alien is Jaws in space. It's been mentioned, and it's kind of like you just put it in a different setting and it still works. So it's like the framework of the story works regardless of the time frame that it's in, and it just holds up. I mean, it's still a good movie almost 50 years later.
Yes, I agree. And the thing is too, it's like I think it's just it's aged so well. It was done so well that I think the idea of a remake would scare people, but also like challenge them like in the regards of like someone like Rob Zombie or like
Stop.
fucking what's his name,
You're
Jordan
gonna will it
Peele.
into existence.
If they remake Jaws, I swear to God, I will
You know what?
literally.
I would be okay with if you had to pick a big name director to do it. I would be more than willing to give Jordan Peele a chance to remake Jaws. Rob
Yeah.
Zombie, I'd be pissed about. I'd be complaining before I ever saw it, which is not fair to the movie. But Jordan Peele, I'd be like, okay. I'm not a big fan of Jordan Peele. I think he's a little overrated personally, but
Me
I'd
too.
be willing to give that one a go.
Mike Flanagan is someone that I think might do it justice. I don't know if we've had this conversation before either, but I think Mike
We haven't.
Flanagan would. And don't hate me because I'm not doing this purposely because Sean's here, but I think in the respect of practical effects, I think Damien Leone could do it.
Jaws comes out and skins people alive, and then like
Eats their crotch,
rubs bleach. Yeah, eats their crotch and rubs bleach in their eyes or something
slaps with
because
his fin.
His face paint on.
But all jokes
while
aside,
in front of their mother while going, I don't know.
Honking a horn.
Right.
I think.
And then ICP starts playing. He says whoop whoop and then skits back into the
And
water.
spray Fago all over each other.
That would be.
The ocean is just Fago.
Especially with ICP. I just think that he has such a love and respect for the movie that, and with his effects, I think that he might do it justice because how much he appreciates it and that he is a director.
With all due respect, I'd like to see him tell a story.
Yes.
Any story first.
Yes.
Like not just a highlight reel.
Agreed. But I don't know. I just feel like there's so many people that would want to like, I don't want to say change it, but I feel like they'd want to do like their own thing with it. And it would just, I don't know.
Wouldn't you have to though? I mean, again, for the only one that really comes to mind that tried this was Psycho when they tried to do a shot-for-shot remake of it. Well, they did the Night of the Living Dead one, which was kind of like that, but Savini did his own thing a little bit too.
Yeah.
But we've seen people try to take a classic movie and do a shot-for-shot remake to just bring it up to modern technology, and it doesn't play. Like, it doesn't work well. Aside from seeing Anne Heche's butthole, like, there's really not a whole lot to take away from Psycho in that remake.
Do you really see her butthole in it?
Yeah, in the shower scene.
Oh, damn. That's fun. I want to Google that.
Down, and for some reason, the cheeks get spread, and they just said, yep, we're leaving it.
Check it out.
God.
I don't remember that, but okay.
They must have, that's a fine looking butthole. Home in on that. But I don't
gotta sell tickets. So
a shot for shot. I wouldn't want to see a shot for shot, but I would want to see something kind of like along the same lines, but different storyline. Maybe change that it's a sheriff, maybe a female lead. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to happen sooner than later.
Eventually, yeah. There's no sacred cows. I mean,
not at all. I mean, look what DGG did with Exorcist, and completely.
I haven't seen it yet. Don't,
because you'll waste. That movie is 2 hours.
Yeah, you didn't give your rating on the movie, although I think I know what it is.
It's a 10. I hold Jaws and Halloween, like, I know before I said Terrifier 2 is a 10, but like I think I was just overexcited. Halloween and Jaws will forever be my 10. They're perfect in my mind. They're my comfort movie. When I'm sad, I want to watch it. When I'm happy, I watch it.
Halloween's still the only movie on our show that I've given a perfect score.
Well, I agree. So has Sean given a perfect score?
I really liked Evil Dead Rise, but I don't think it got a perfect score.
You liked Evil Dead Rise?
I liked it a lot.
Where's the other one that you liked a lot?
That surprised me.
You liked Slither a lot.
Oh,
too,
yeah, I like Slither a lot.
I don't think you gave it a perfect score, though.
No.
Slither is really good. No. I could see that. But I love that movie. I think it's just forever. It just holds such a place in my heart. My grandparents, that connection. You know what I mean? Like when you have that, it just doesn't let go. And then you got Rosalind, who now sometimes quotes things and talks about Quint. So I'm hoping that I'm passing that shark fin on to her.
I want more Rosalind episodes on your podcast because her commentary is just fucking perfect. So
she kills me. She's
so I've still referred to her poltergeist like breakdown of the real estate and the zoning in whatever city. I was like, why would you put a house next to a cemetery and another cemetery? That's dumb. Perfect.
I love it. And then something so philosophical in a 9-year-old sense, then to, oh, the neighborhood just looks like the one from E.T. You know what I mean? Like the little.
She doesn't talk about it like a 9-year-old though. She's again very what's a good way to say this? She's very insightful on her critiques on it. And if you had told me she was a 20-year-old, I would say she still sounds the same way.
Yep.
Telling me she's a 9-year-old is like so.
She's crazy. I love it. I'm changing the format of Pretty Killer Podcast and the amount of episodes I put out coming in the new year. But I definitely want to do an episode with her because like every month, because she's so much fun and I love her insight on things. Because like you said, it's coming from a 9-year-old and you expect like a 9-year-old and you get that from time to time with some of the stuff she says. But then other times I'm like, how do you know how to express that at your age?
It's cool hearing a perspective though that's so fresh on it, because whether it's Jaws, and I know Sean hadn't seen this before, but even Sean's probably jaded to this movie to an extent just because of everything you said. Like you hear so much about it, blah blah blah, etc.
Yeah.
As adults, we all have our like. I think I was saying to you, I'm like, I love when Sean lets me watch sleazy like 80s slasher movies I actually have heard of, as opposed to some of the other stuff that we dive into. Like that's my favorite thing, and we all have our preferences, and whether you like it or not, that's really going to kind of play into what you think of a movie.
Absolutely.
When you're dealing with someone who everything is fresh to you, it gives you such it takes you back. For me, it takes me back to like, oh, this is how I felt when I watched movies when I rented them from a video store. And
yes,
Rosalind's probably like, what the fuck is a video store? So
I know, explaining that process to her, like not like stuff wasn't streaming and you had to watch whatever was on TV at that moment. Like, like a certain show was on Thursday night at 9:00 and then, just explaining it. Mine was blown. She's like, what? She's like, a VHS. I'm like, yeah, it's this bulky thing that you put in the VCR player and it's baffling to her. But
sometimes the player ate the tape and you were really screwed.
I know, and then you had to get that charge when you couldn't bring it back to the video store. But we took her to go see Thanksgiving in theaters, and I kind of like had to get insight from people to see if it was appropriate. Because I assumed there was. I was assuming there was going to be some like nakedness or some really.
See, Eli Roth, I would expect it to be damn near an X-rated movie.
But surprisingly, there was not a lot of nudity or sex at all, which
bummer.
It was kind of like
they put the cheerleader knife scene in the trailer. Well, in the original trailer.
I'm not gonna say you guys haven't seen it, right?
No,
I won't say much. It's done well, but it's cool to like see her talk about how she said it felt like a Scream movie, and like explaining it in that sense, like when we were done with it, and I'm just like, I couldn't been more proud. I got like misty eyed. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy. But
we're way off topic.
I know. I'm so sorry to go off that way, but we will be back in the summer in 2024 to do Death Wish. Death Note? Is it?
It's definitely Death Wish and not Death Note.
Death Wish, and then we will do the sequels of Jaws to hear Sean's thoughts, because I can't wait. Because John and I feel like we like the same out of the franchise. I'll be curious to see what Sean says. But
after seeing this, it did make me want to watch the others. I know that they're not all up to snuff.
Yes.
But I was like, I'm curious to see. Obviously, knowing after the fact that they make all these additional movies, and I'm really looking forward to watching Cruel Jaws, but I feel like I need to work into it. Like I need to absorb all of it to be able to really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should know this because I talk to you on a somewhat regular basis about shitty movies, but how do you feel about shark movies in general?
Yes.
I don't really have much of an opinion. I mean, I've seen
I know
Ultimo
we watched
Squalo.
I know we were watching
Italian
Shark Encounters
version
the third time at the bar about a month ago.
Yeah. I don't really have a I don't really have an opinion on them.
That's
Okay.
good. I mean, that's good because if you hated them, then that would definitely persuade, different feelings. But I don't know. I have a soft spot in my heart for every single movie because I grew up on them. But now, I mean, who am I kidding? When I'm an adult, I sit and get severely high and watch it and love it. So I can't really say that I don't like it.
Bingo.
Makes
Yeah.
everything better.
It does, definitely.
There's not a whole lot of things better in the world than, a couple gummies and Sharks of the Corn or House Shark
Yes,
or
a sand shark.
Sand Shark or Shark Encounters of the Third Kind.
I
So
need to watch that. But
it's
Santa
bad.
Jaws.
You do. Santa Jaws.
That
So-
fucking little Santa hat on his fin and the chiming bells as he crests the water.
Doesn't he impale people with like him several times? So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's great. I
So,
love it. But tis
yeah.
the season to watch it if you're going to watch it.
Yeah. Shark movies are a very stupid and entertaining genre, which, with the exception of Deep Blue Sea, which tried to be a good shark movie, so many of them are like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. There's a shark. Let's just go ahead and ham this shit up for an hour and then see if we can make $50.
Which it's hard. I like all the real quick to say like the Shallows with Blake Lively, 47 Meters Down, like all those movies. I get what they were trying to do because they're trying to take a shark encounter and having that happen in a different way than being on the
Or
orca.
the Meg, where they're like, we're gonna be scary, and then you have Jason Statham like, I'm gonna punch the fucking shark in his fucking face, and that's like the end of the movie,
Yeah, and it's
Great.
horrible.
I mean, it's horrible in one sense. It's also like, well, Jason Statham just punched the fucking shark in his fucking face. That was somewhat entertaining. So
Definitely. But I don't know. I can't get into the serious tone ones. I know it's horrible to say, but like Mandy Moore and 47 Meters Down, I just wasn't invested. I didn't care at one point. I'm like, just fucking eat her and let's like end this because I just did not give a shit. The one with Blake Lively had moments.
that's
but
my
again,
opinion of Mandy Moore, like in regular everyday life, not just in shark movies.
just fucking take her down.
Eat her and get it done with.
Yeah. Be done with it. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get like a cool shark movie eventually. I know that they had the Black Devil of Cortez, and Sam really enjoyed that one. I think that came out last year, or was it this year? But Sam said he really liked it. So, and he liked the Meg too, because I know like the Meg was a thing.
Yeah, but he liked it the same way I just said. It's got Jason Statham punching sharks. Like, we all love Sam for the same reason, because he has really good taste in film, but he also has really good taste in shitty film, which we all enjoy. So
yes, that's true. That's why I think
and we all like him because he's an amazing human being, which, but that's beside the point. So
love you, Sam. Shout out to Sammy. But I am glad that you guys got to hang, that we got to do a little hang before 2023 is over. I'm glad that Sean got to see Jaws. And I mean that like not in a make funny way. Like I'm happy that you got to see it because
it's a good movie.
Yeah, it is a good movie.
Surprise.
Yes. Yes. He said it. I'm so excited.
I'm just kind of curious what would have happened if I'd be like, man, this movie was shit. This is the worst.
I was
I
hoping
said when
for
I
that.
went
I
on-
didn't think that was going to happen, but I was kind of hoping for that.
I was not like hoping. I was hoping that you'd hate it because I would love to hear the perspective of someone
as
who
to
didn't
why.
enjoy it. Yeah, because I know that people exist that don't like it, and you know what I mean. Like I'm pretty open with people and their opinions and being able to have them because that's the thing. Some people, it's a hard concept to grasp, but like it's okay if you don't like the movie and it's good to debate it. So I was kind of hoping that we would get that tonight, but overall I'm happy that you enjoyed it.
We'll get that with 2. So.
Yeah. We'll wait to the next episode. But what do you guys have going on coming up? I know you said Silent Night, Deadly Night at in Detroit, which I wish I could attend. I want to attend one of these things that you guys do. That'd be cool.
I just told you I was almost up and drove to New York today to go to a dive bar, but that didn't happen. But what do we have going on? So we don't have anything too crazy going on past this week. Side note, when do you plan on this going up?
This is going to go up next. I want to say Wednesday. I want to do like a midweek episode. So
Wednesday. Okay. So so what do we have going on? So more than likely when you're hearing this tomorrow, we're going to have a live stream with Jordana and Sam coming up where we're going to talk about our favorite things of 2023, which I'm 100% sure is going to lead to a lot of our least favorite things of 2023 because there wasn't a whole ton that I was thrilled about. So that's kind of the kind of off schedule thing that we have coming up. So we'll have links up. We'll make sure that Jordana and Sam both have them too. So if you follow any of the four of us, or of course Feature Creatures, we'll make sure that you can find that. But past that, we still do episodes every single week. We are of course, DeweyPodMonster is the podcast name. You can find us on any of the major podcasting platforms. If you want to, you could also find us on our website, which is at crap.town. And we're now members of the You Run Podcast Network. So if you go to yourunpodcast.com, you can find us on there. And I'm sure we'll have something else coming up, but I don't know what it is yet. So.
When horror worlds collide, like you guys and You Run, it's just like, what a matchup. Like that's amazing.
They're great. They're I don't know. Scott's great, and I like Scott's opinion. I like that Scott's willing to try and bait people into arguing with him over things that are trivial, and usually he's entertaining. And more often than not, I agree with his opinion. And when I don't agree with him, he's like, "You're wrong," but that's fine. Just moves on. So
it's fun to have a debate with him because he's gonna allow you to debate it, but he's set in his ways, and that's cool because you know what?
Good for him.
Exactly, good for him.
So
that's what we're meant to do, right? Well, I'm excited to do the live again. Thank you guys for hanging with me tonight. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great rest of their night and we'll see you soon. Bye.
woo-woo.